Hey, happy Monday. It is BYU Utah week. And welcome to the Wise Guys, the largest BYU sports live stream show in the world, the most watched collegiate sports live stream talk show on YouTube. And we're going to speak to the world tonight because Cougar Nation is fired up. They're 6-0. They're 15th in the country. And, man, things are good.
Every time you say those things, it just scares me. It makes me nervous. It's this and it's that, which is really fun. And you know what makes it all of that is all of you that are out there, whether you're on the live stream with us tonight, which is always hopping. It's especially going to be hopping this week with Utah on the docket for Saturday, or you're listening on this tomorrow or the next day, riding your bike as a podcast. Like we're grateful. We're grateful for this unbelievable BYU fan base and for our Wise Guys family that joins us in one way or another every week. We owe a lot to you, and we get to do this because of you. So thank you for being there. Also, Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus, Eddie, and Mountain America Credit Union, and Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News. So thanks to them too, for keeping us alive, right? Yeah,
and they their support of this show allows us to do it for free to you wherever you are, and so that's a win-win for everybody, and we'll try to represent these companies as best we can. We do want you to go to wiseguys.com. That's where all our past shows are, some phenomenal interviews. Marie Osmond interviews there. Today's her birthday.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear what Marie had to say about the Cougs a couple years ago, that's at wiseguys.com. Also, hit the free subscribe button on our YouTube channel, and that just keeps us building this show, and it's just going to build and build and build and build.
That's right.
And so we're what are we, 3.5 years in?
Hard to believe.
And like 20 years from now, when we have big thick glasses on to try to read what's right in front of us.
So sometimes I put these on, but
those aren't the big thick ones.
No, these aren't the big thick ones, and I put them on once in a while. They don't really do anything, but you told me they make me look smarter. So sometimes
they do. That's why I wear them on the game day.
I just wear them to look smarter.
People go, look how smart that guy is. I don't even know. Turn the volume up and see what he's talking about. There's South Jordan in the house, Sandy, Utah, Pleasant Hill, California, Henderson, Nevada. Thanks for being here tonight. Vernal, Utah. Debbie, good to see you. We saw some Tucson folks early in the stream, still celebrating that win. There's Nebraska, Weston. Great to see you.
How about Dr. Sean? Roseville, California, right? Let's go cardiac foods. Also, let's go blood pressure medicine.
That's right. There's North Carolina. Jim, good to have you on the show. Here's what we got tonight. We're excited about it. BYU is 6-0 after they beat Arizona. We're going to hear from Kalani Sitake and get his take on that. And, of course, the big game on Saturday night.
Yeah, BYU, Utah. Kyle Whittingham and former quarterback and current radio analyst Scott Mitchell. So we're going to hear from Kyle because we have some sound from Kyle, right?
Yeah.
But Scott Mitchell's going to talk to us about his take on it. And he's always fun. We've had him on the show before, and what I love about Scott Mitchell is he just says what he thinks, good or bad, about the Utes.
And we got some tough questions for him. Yeah. Looking forward to that. We're going to play a game with him. We think you'll like it. Naperville, Illinois on the stream. There's Puget Sound cheering for the Mariners today. They're doing pretty good. Cedar Park, Texas. Mesa, Arizona. Welcome to the Wise Guys. Today is historic. The AP Top 25 comes out, the preseason basketball poll, and ranks BYU higher than they've ever been in the history of BYU. And the team debuts Saturday in an exhibition game against Nebraska. We'll talk about all that coming up. Yep. We're not going to tell you where, and you might know already, but that preseason ranking, I'm looking at that going, well, there's something we've never seen before.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that we're going to see a lot of things this year we've never seen before.
What's funny is I saw it, and I thought, I'm not sure that's high enough. We've never seen it before, and I wasn't sure it was high enough.
I was happy to see North Carolina in it because you and I have that game
we're gonna call that
coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Really, really fun. So, and a reminder again, Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus. Brady Plus provides cleaning, food service, and packaging equipment, dispensers, and service and repairs with over 150 distribution facilities across the country and over 6,000 employees. Learn more at bradyplus.com.
Travis is going to join us in a couple of weeks before BYU goes down there to his hometown to play Villanova in the season opener. Wise Guys is brought to you by Eddie, HR and payroll software built for small businesses. Whether you run a dental office in Spanish Fork, Utah, or a construction crew in Lehigh, Eddie helps you hire, onboard, track time, and run payroll all in one place. Simple, local, reliable, built by business owners who believe people come first. See how Eddie can serve your team at eddie.com.
And by Mountain America Credit Union, helping people achieve their financial dreams for over 80 years. Whether you're buying a home, planning for retirement, or managing daily expenses, Mountain America has the tools, technology, and guidance to help you succeed. There's a lot of information waiting for you at macu.com.
And on the stream, there's East Carolina, there's West Valley City, Utah, there's Cedar City, Utah, and Wisconsin. Sylvia's in from Wisconsin, and the Cardiac Cougs. Carrie, Idaho on the stream, and Jim from Provo. Blaine's old home teacher from the Provo First Ward in 1984.
The Robinsons, there you go.
So welcome to the Wise Guys tonight. We remind you our Re-Lyte Athlete of the Week is presented by Redmond. The secret's in the salt. Learn what it can do for you at redmond.com. We're not going to tell you who that is for a little bit, but then as soon as we say the name, you're going to go,
yep.
Oh, yeah.
Of course. Exactly. So, and again, Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News and Deseret.com, Utah's newspaper since 1850.
Huntsville, Alabama on the stream. Let's go. Poll watching as we roll into the show tonight. The AP up to 15. The coaches poll 14. As I thought about getting ranked 15th, and then I thought at the end of last season, where after beating Colorado at the Alamo Bowl, blowing them out, they finished 13th. And we're figuring they'll probably be around 13 or so in the new poll because Jake Retzlaff's still here. And then after all that happens, and here comes the freshman out of high school, and now they're 6 games in and they're 6-0, and they're at 15, which means they've made up all that lost ground,
right?
In the public square of opinion. And now they've got opportunities with games in front of them to just keep. You beat Utah, and then you go to Iowa State. You beat Iowa State. You're in the top 10. You're in the top 10.
Absolutely would be in the top 10. Interesting. Did you see the analytics that the ESPN2 put up about win or lose, and then the probability for BYU and Arizona to make it to the Big 12 championship game? It was really interesting. And remember, Arizona already had a loss in conference. And if Arizona won the game, then they moved up to like a 30-something% chance to go to the Big 12 with one loss. If BYU won the game, their chances of going to the Big 12 championship game went to 50%. Now, keep this in mind. Arizona would have lost. If they lost the game, which they did, their chances went down to less than 1%. So Utah's kind of in the same boat that Arizona is in coming into this game. That's a lot of pressure. You get a second loss in league play, and all of a sudden – It's a much bumpier road to try to get to that Big 12 championship game. If you're BYU and you now go to another week and you go to 4-0 in league play, man, your pathway to the Big 12 championship game looks a lot better.
It does, because as we'll talk about in a little bit, Iowa State doesn't look like we thought they were. They've lost 2 in a row now, and they got beat at Colorado, where BYU went over and beat Colorado.
Yeah.
So
you can go beat. There's no reason if you beat Utah. There's no reason you can't go beat Iowa State, as you mentioned, right? Yeah. And now, man, you're rocking and rolling at 8-0, right, and ranked in the top 10. Now you go on the road to Texas Tech, who's currently ranked 7th. And I got newsflash: they're probably not going to lose between now and then, right?
Right.
They do have to go on the road to Kansas State, who played really well last week. But let's say Texas Tech is undefeated when they go in there. Texas Tech's probably going to be like 5th at that point. BYU's going to be top 10. Even if you lose on the road to Texas Tech and that's your first loss in conference, you probably don't drop. Maybe 1 or 2, right?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of being ranked that high and playing a good team. And then you got a pathway to play Texas Tech in a rematch on a neutral field. And I'd be perfectly fine if they lost to Texas Tech, 1 out, played Texas Tech in the rematch, and won the Big 12 championship game with the CFP.
Why not?
That's all I'm asking.
On the stream, in just the last couple of minutes, hello to San Diego, Kuna, Idaho, Harriman, Utah, Montana, Magic Valley. I'm not sure where Magic Valley is. It feels like California.
Isn't Magic Valley the Magic Valley up in Idaho?
I'm not sure.
Just outside of Boise?
Get a clarification.
Yeah, I think
there.
it is.
Washington, Dallas, Louisiana, San Antonio, Beaumont, Texas, and all around this place. It's great having everybody here. We want your opinions too. We want to know where you're taking us in from, and then we also want some of your opinions on the Cougs.
Yeah, what's the score this weekend? Tell us what you guys think the score is this weekend for this BYU-Utah game.
One thing that's cool about Monday is we get the TV details for the upcoming game beyond the weekend, right? So earlier today, the setup for BYU and Iowa State was announced Saturday, October 25th. So that is going to be a week from Saturday. BYU Sports Nation game day, 11:30 a.m. on BYU TV and ESPN Plus. That's right, 11:30 a.m. That means BYU Iowa State is at 1:30.
That's right.
Mountain on Fox with a postgame show on BYU TV and ESPN Plus. 1:30 in the afternoon. That's old school. That's when you played your games.
Yeah, that's afternoon feature game, Fox National. That's fun stuff.
And it's BYU and Iowa State, and all of a sudden, that game is that is a winnable game for BYU. No question about it.
Yeah.
So those TV details were out today, and Andrew's quick on the send 27-20 BYU over Utah. I think that's what
That's what you picked, isn't
I think
it?
that's what I picked tomorrow on AFR.
Well, yeah, like you haven't picked it yet on AFR. You can still change your mind, but we talked about it so they could build a graphic. So now
I see some scores,
you're giving away your pick before you
actually
do it.
Well, it just came out. I forgot what day it was. All of a sudden, I got excited. I saw 27.
But you're right. I think that's what you picked.
We'll talk about Jack Kelly in just a bit, so hang with us, Chris. BYU beats Arizona 33-27 in double overtime. It was exhausting. Had an hour and 14-minute weather delay, which just extended it all. And the Cougars trailed 24-14 with 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and they pulled it out, which was amazing because you think about their last two road games in the Big 12, down by 14 at Colorado, down by 10 late at Arizona, and Bear Bachmeier brings them back, and they win both games.
And now they think that that's what they can do, which is great. Now they play with confidence. If they get behind early in a game, it doesn't faze them because they go, yeah, we've been here before. We're fine. Remember, they had a couple of games like that last year. To have a magical season, you have to win a couple of games like that. You just do. It just happens. Now, do I think they should get down 14 to Utah? If they do, I think they still have a chance. I would just suggest that they don't.
Yeah, those are words to live by.
Yeah, I would say just jump on Utah early, or keep it, a defensive battle for a while and win it. But don't get behind and have to come back against that defense that Utah has.
No. So. Pensacola, Florida on the stream. Park City, Utah is there. There's a score. Let's see. What did I see? 14 to 10. Robert, is that is that halftime or?
That's a low one.
And Robbie's got 34-16.
Chris Stotter's saying any update on Jack Kelly. So I expect to see Jack play this week. So he made the trip this last week, and they decided they'd warm him up and see how his strength felt. Because remember, he had this injury, and it's gradually the strength's coming back in it, and they just felt like it put him at risk. Just wasn't quite feeling strong enough to play. But I expect that with the progress he made last week, that he's going to play against Utah.
Absolutely. Andrew's checking in from the Maldives. There's Pocatello, Idaho. Craig, good to have you there.
Calvin Porter's asking about Sione Moa.
Yeah.
And he's on the mend. He's a couple weeks away still. But he's not. His isn't season ending.
I talked to LJ. I was in the elevator with LJ Martin today as we were over there doing our pregame, some pregame work with Keanu Tanavasa, who will join us on Saturday. And he said he was a little sore, but he was just named co-Big 12 Offensive Player of the Week, so he was feeling good about that.
Yeah.
What we liked from the Arizona game was LJ, 25 carries, career high, 162 yards. Here's what popped off the page to me. No tackles for loss. Every one of those 25 carries went forward.
That's big.
That's a different LJ. Remember last year it was a different story.
And this offensive line, there were times last year when and remember, we always talk about first year with a new coach to second year with a new coach. There were times last year where there were unblocked players just coming through, hitting LJ before he could get going. And LJ wasn't making a miss. And now here we are, year two, in a system that this offensive line coach is working in TJ Woods. And you just don't see unblocked players. Not very often, anyhow. And LJ's gotten quicker. And if there is one, he's more likely to make a miss. So just way fewer negative plays. Negative plays kill drives. especially if you're a run-based team like BYU is right now. Negative plays can kill you. And I feel like this team is much better at eliminating negative yardage plays than they were last season.
Trent has BYU 27-24. And Brent has 34-30 for BYU.
What's that old? Was it 34-30, the old
34-31. That wasn't a good score 34. For us.
No, it wasn't good for BYU, but no, 34-30, Brent, huh? Nice.
Trayson in Savannah, Georgia on the stream. We'll get to a few more of your questions. Here's what else we liked in that game. Parker Kingston with 5 receptions, 117 yards, and that big 75-yard touchdown. You saw that he's back. His speed is... He got that at the 50, and it was good night.
He's not only flat out fast... His acceleration from 0 to 60, I'm trying to think of what he is now not a Tesla. He's a dragster. He's like a nitro burning dragster. The way he gets out and just runs away from people. How about when he ran away from that safety on the big play?
Yeah.
He just dusted him. The safety should have pretended like he had a hamstring pull. It was embarrassing.
He was all smiles. I saw him today too. He's in the film room recording that with Jerem Jordan, and he's so happy to be healthy. Oh, that's so his nice weapon.
He's a big-time weapon. And how about Siale Esera?
Yeah.
When he had Glasgow coming back from injury and not knowing how it was going to go, but Isaiah played fine. And then without Jack Kelly in that game, Siale just stepped up and had 16 tackles.
16.
Wow.
Yeah. All over the place. A lot, some were at the line of scrimmage, some were 6 yards down, some were 10 yards down, but he got there.
He was making a lot of plays.
He got there. Bear Bachmeier, Big 12 Freshman of the Week for the 3rd straight week.
Yeah, how about
Are there any other freshmen playing in the Big 12?
Not compared to Bear, there's not.
Bear is doing great, and BYU is bowl eligible after 6 games. And we keep going back, and we continue to, because Bear's a true freshman, and this is a phenomenal story. And it's just getting bigger and bigger every week. And now the national media are picking it up. And Game Day, and those guys are saying, hey, the best freshman in America is Bear Bachmeier. Well, BYU is bowl eligible with a true freshman quarterback as a Power 4 program that wins on the road. I mean, there's nothing not phenomenal about all that.
Yeah, and they're undefeated in conference, and they're undefeated, period.
Yeah.
With a freshman quarterback. It really is quite an accomplishment for Bear Bachmeier. And you know what? Let's give Aaron Roderick some credit for how he's kind of brought him along in this offense. Doesn't it seem like we see the offense expanded just a little bit more every week?
Yeah.
And the things we saw the last 2 weeks that we didn't see early, they didn't have much go wrong the first few weeks.
Right.
And then they've had some things go wrong. And he doesn't seem to be fazed by it. His mentality, to me, there's a lot of freshmen that are big and strong and can run over people and can throw the ball, but there's very few freshmen that can come in and manage an offense at that position that's as complicated as BYU's and play with the intelligence and the decision-making that he has, and then also have the resilience to not be fazed when things go wrong. He is a big story, and he may be the best freshman in the country right now.
He's a lot of fun, he's a humble kid, and he's fun to be around. And it's just a win-win-win all the way around. Now, there were some things we didn't like. The turnovers, those 2 picks. One of them was a panic throw from Bear, and he's going to learn from that. Did you ever have one of those where you just grabbed the ball and chucked it?
I had a couple in college where I took off running and lost my mind. I never threw one like that, or I threw it up. And here's the thing: you kind of he'll remember this now. Things get emblazoned on your mind. When you're running away from a defender full speed to your right, you got to know you can't get anything on the ball because you're throwing across your body. I always hear announcers, when an announcer says to me, when I'm listening to a game, and I was listening to one Saturday, I'm not going to say who it was, and the quarterback was running to his left, and he goes, wow, and that's really hard to make a throw when you're running to your left with that kind of velocity. And I'm like, this guy doesn't know anything about quarterbacks. His credibility just went down the tubes to me. Because if you can get the throw off running to your left, and people that are watching now instead of just listening to the podcast can see, running to your left as a right-handed quarterback, you have to be able to get your shoulders back around, or you can't even throw it. Because you can't just throw it like this. So that creates a little bit of torque, and you can get velocity on the ball running to your left, and you're fairly accurate because you got to get your shoulders square to the line of scrimmage. When you're running full speed to your right, you try to throw it across your body. Unless you turn and go at the line of scrimmage, you have to know in your head, I can't throw this thing over the top.
Yeah.
I can't get any torque on it. Yes, Carson Ryan was open behind the defense, but he's like 30 yards down the field. You got to just know, I can't do it. So I just need to tuck it and run, or I just need to throw it out of bounds and go back to the line of scrimmage.
Live for another day. You're already in field goal
range. Make a play.
range.
And it was only second down.
Yeah.
Right. So he's going to learn from that.
There were a lot of missed tackles we didn't like. And we'll spotlight a few of them on AFR tomorrow. There was a fake punt that didn't work and a missed field goal for this first time where special teams had 2 dingers.
Yeah, and I went and watched that missed field goal again. And remember, it was at the peak of the deluge rain when they were trying to kick that field goal. And the ball not only gets a little bit slippery, it gets heavy. The snap came back, and it kind of slid through Sam Vanderhaar's hands. So he juggled it, and then he scrambled to put the ball down. So what we don't know is when everything's perfect, the holder puts his fingers on the ground and marks a spot. He catches the ball and he puts the football down and holds it exactly where that spot is. And Will Farron, he takes his stride step and his plant foot, and that is like within a half an inch of exactly the right spot to kick it. If that ball's moved 1 or 2 inches to the left or right, he's got to adjust in stride, and that little adjustment right there means yards of a difference. On the other hand, he just barely missed that left. And so I'm going to chalk that one up, not to Will Farron not having good mechanics. I'm chalking it up to, it was a difficult hold because the ball was wet. Yeah. Now, you got to make those. And notice when it stopped raining and he had to make a field goal late, no problem.
45
Piped
yards.
Because
to keep the game alive.
Snap was great. The hold was great. Yeah. He cranked it right down the middle.
Michael saying BYU 24-17. Sylvia's got 32-18. So a couple of scores coming in. Share them with us, and we'll share them with everybody as we roll on here. Let's revisit Blaine's keys to the game. Again, we're going to hear from Kalani and Kyle Whittingham here in a moment. Scott Mitchell's going to join us a bit later on, and we're going to play a fun game with him with all arrows pointed to Saturday night. The first key from Blaine, make Fafita throw from the pocket, pass rush with precision.
Meaning don't let him just run around and make plays on the run. He made a couple because he's a great player. Like Noah, man, that guy can just sling it. And he's very quick and very agile. He doesn't scramble to run. He scrambles to get somebody open downfield and throw it downfield. So here's why I'm going to give him a check on that one. As much as he scrambled around, he ended up with 6 rushes for 16 yards. So not a big per yard average for Noah Fafita. But he only completed 55% of his passes for 219 yards. Those two numbers, the 55% and the 219, are way below his season average. So I'm going to say they did a good job, a good enough job to make their best player perform at a subpar level, and that was part of the win.
All right, key number 2, finish drives with touchdowns. They had touchdown drives, 8 plays of 66 yards, 4 of 94, and another drive, 11 plays for 47 yards for touchdowns.
But they had a 7+ minute, 15-play drive where they missed a field goal, and then they had another one that was 6 minutes and 54 seconds, and they made a field goal. So I'm going to give them a level on that one.
Not a check. Win the turnover battle was the third key, and we lost the turnover battle again 2-1.
So it's a minus.
Minus.
So they have a minus, a no call, and a plus.
Okay.
Guess what happens when you do that? You have to go win in 2 overtimes.
Yeah, sometimes you need extra time.
And so it erases all of that. But remember what we said. If they do all 3 of those things, they win that game going away.
Yeah.
Right. So
like
there's the difference.
They looked like they were going to in the first quarter.
Right.
John's got 31-27 BYU over Utah. Weston's in at 34-20 for the Cougs. We invite you to join us tomorrow at 5 Mountain Time for After Further Review. Blaine and David Nixon, myself, a full hour of entertainment. And we've got so much to break down from that game on Saturday and the double overtime win. We'll also preview the Utes. 5 o'clock AFR tomorrow on the BYU TV app and ESPN+. Earlier today, keeping with the Monday tradition, head coach Kalani Sitake addressed the media with some thoughts on Arizona and some thoughts on the Utes. Let's listen to the coach here for a moment. Maybe we'll listen. Maybe we'll listen to the coach. DJ, you got it ready?
Sorry, reloading it.
Okay. DJ's reloading it, and then we'll hear from Kalani, and then we'll hear from Kyle Whittingham. All right, here's Coach Sitake.
Game week. We're excited.
had a good weekend and a great victory against a well-motivated Arizona team, and had to take a double overtime game, but I thought it was good for our team, good for the program, and celebrated that, had fun, and now our focus is on to our next opponent, which is our rival, and this is a rivalry week, homecoming. It's going to be a lot of fun, so we're excited about the matchup, and there's a lot of connections between BYU and Utah, and so that'll be another fun part of it. But that's no different than what you see in a household here in the state, and there'll be people cheering for their team, and that's what makes the rivalry so much fun. It makes it, like I said before, I've said this last year, that it makes a lot of sense. We're in the Big 12 together. It just makes sense that we should be in the same conference, and we should do this every year. So I'm excited about the matchup. Watching Utah on film, really talented team with so many different weapons, and that's in all three phases. They can well coached, and when you're going up against Kyle Whittingham and his staff, the players are going to be well coached. They'll be tough and they'll be physical. So it's going to be a great matchup, and we're looking forward to the challenge this weekend. It's taking our best focus and it has every bit of our attention. So we're excited about the prep that we can do today, and recognize the talent that they have there, and have a lot of respect for the program and their fans, and my personal connection to them, and we have a lot of that here, and they have a lot of that there. So it'll make it really, really fun, and I'm excited to see these guys play on the field in LaVell Edwards Stadium. It's good to have the game at home this year, and I'm looking forward to it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So what questions do you guys have for me?
Well, that game's going to be rocking under the lights on Saturday night. It'll start with the sun up a little bit, and then it's out.
Right.
And the lights are on. We know what BYU is at night, and the energy level will spike, and you kind of get a taste of that from Sadaki.
Yeah, I'm glad it's not going to be a rainy night, because the rain just has weird effects on the game. When the ball's slippery, there's a lot of luck going into it. I didn't like that BYU Arizona had to play down the rain. I don't like that Utah and Arizona State had to play in a downpour up there. It really does affect the game, and it has a major impact on the outcome. And I like a nice dry, the cold's okay. I just like a nice dry night where both teams can handle the ball and have decent footing. Then you see who the better team is, because the better team wins, right? That night, The better team that night wins, I should say.
Eric on the stream from Arlington, Virginia. Good to have you on the Wise Guys tonight. Also today, head coach for the Utes, Kyle Whittingham, a former BYU linebacker, also addressed the media, and here are some of his thoughts ahead of the big one on Saturday.
It's rivalry week. Got to go on the road. I guess it's going to be the big noon kickoff will be there, even though it's not the big noon game of the week. They'll be down there, and so we'll have to have a great week of practice as always. Between the two teams, there's a lot of similarities statistically. Defensively, there's a lot of similarities as well. Both in the upper third of the conference in most of the key stats, and so should make for a great matchup, and away we go. Question?
That's Kyle Whittingham, and one of the questions he was asked was about Bear Bachmeier, and he kind of cut off the reporter and just said, "I'm just going to talk about my guys this week. I'm not going to say anything about the other team or the coaches. I'm just going to focus on us." And I thought that was interesting, because he focused on all these Arizona State guys last week, but we're buttoning it up for BYU, and Kalani and Kyle are friends. Their personalities couldn't be more different.
Oh, yeah. And Kalani was asked about Dampier, and he went on for like 2 minutes about what a great player. Like, he was very complimentary, which he should be, because Dev's a great player, but he went on and on about it, and about the coaching staff up there and how they're his friends and all of that. And Kyle chose. Now, Kyle did talk positively about Kalani, but when it came to talking about players, it's like, hey, Kyle, in case you didn't notice, and believe me, he noticed. And I could say this because Kyle's a dear friend, and I lived with Kyle.
Yeah.
He's just different when it comes to that. Because he could have said, yeah, Bear Bachmeier's good. He's the 3-time defending conference freshman of the week. He's playing great, and we got our hands full. But no, he just chose not to comment about it at all.
All right, so Fox Big Noon Kickoff Show, 8 a.m. to 10. Saturday morning at LaVelle Edwards Stadium. And then later in the day, BYU Sports Nation Game Day at 4, 2 hours of pregame coverage on BYU TV and ESPN+. Our guests include Max Hall and Kyle Van Noy. We'll revisit last year's wild finish. And then we'll have the exclusive all-access team warm-ups inside the stadium. No one else can do that, right? We're the only ones in there with cameras, and we'll show the Utes warming up. We'll show the Cougars warming up. So we invite both fan bases in. And the Utes now 23, BYU's 15. They'll play at 6 on Fox, and then we'll cap the night with the post-game show on the BYU TV app and ESPN+. Our first guest tonight was a star quarterback at Utah when Ty Detmer was a star quarterback at BYU. To kind of give you the timeline, he played 3 years for the Utes and for 12 years in the National Football League, mostly with the Dolphins and Lions. Also the radio analyst for Utah football games with our friend Bill Riley. It's always a pleasure to welcome Scott Mitchell to the Wise Guys. It's been a whole year since you've been back, and we're happy to have you back on the show.
Look, I'm honored. Okay. You guys are a big deal. And to actually be on the show once was a big, that was an incredible honor, but to actually 2 years in a row, amazing.
Hey, I'm sad. Like I just found out when I came in, Scott, that you weren't coming up because I was wanting to have my brother right here next to me.
Oh.
And you're down in St. George. What in the world? I was very disappointed. I'm believe me, I'm happy to have you on anytime, even if it's remote, but I got to admit, I was a little sad that you weren't going to be sitting here by me.
Yeah, I kind of big timed you guys tonight. I'm sorry. I miss you as well. I really enjoyed coming in your studio last time. It's quite a setup you guys have, but yeah, I'm living in St. George. I do my radio show from my house, so it's nice. I'm having a good time. It's awesome, actually.
Before we're done, we want to talk about your new radio show, and talk about where folks can take that in. What are some of your early thoughts about Saturday's game?
The biggest thought for me is just the bigness of the game. And when both of these teams are in Power 4 conferences and you're both competing for a conference championship to go to the college football playoffs, that's never happened before here in the state of Utah. Utah was at the Pac-12 and BYU was independent. Last year, both teams were in the conference and BYU was great and Utah was horrible. So this year, they're both right there, and this is a huge game. In my opinion, I think it's the biggest game in the rivalry. It's what I've always talked about, and from the minute both these teams got in the same conference, this is what's great for football in the state of Utah. It's great. I'm a big fan of rising tides raise all ships, and to draw national attention on this game is huge. It's unfortunate. It should be even bigger than it really is. But it's still very big, and and the thing about it as well is rivalries are really great when it hurts really bad when you lose. Like it's bad enough, like a year ago when Utah was not very good and they lost. But to have something really on the line, that's when these rivalries really get intense, and the impact of them, the whole spectacle becomes such a bigger thing when something really big is on the line.
There was a time there when they were both in the Mountain West Conference, and it felt like sometimes that conference race on multiple years came down to that game, so it was a big deal. But if I'm hearing you right, you're saying, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but this ain't the Mountain West Conference. This is the Big 12. This is a Power 4 conference. There's so much more on the line. This is a bigger game than any of those games have ever been. Is that what you're saying?
I thought I said it clear enough, but yes.
Wow.
It absolutely.
Wow.
Of course. Yeah,
I feel bad about the games that you and I played in. Holy cow.
Hey, we were 4 conferences ago. Okay.
That's
so
right.
Things have changed significantly. So I know my place in history, and we all do. And, and it's just a tremendous thing. I just think it's incredible just having the significance of this game and what it means, and it means in college football, and to have both of these teams in a position to go to a conference championship and the college football playoffs.
Scott, what stat will be the definer for who wins or loses Saturday?
Wow, that's a great question. For me, well, it's stat. It's really about who controls the line of scrimmage. It's about I think it's really about who can stop the run and who can run the football. That's going to be the difference maker in this game. And there's a very unique way about both of these teams and how they stop the run, how they actually run the football. There's some, the quarterbacks play into that. They're both very good at it. So it's really who can stop the run. I don't know what statistic that is. So I guess rushing yards would be the stat of the day.
Yeah,
I guess we could look at rushing yards. We'll look at per carry average. All those things we could take a look at when we're watching that game Saturday to see who's more effective running the football. And it's interesting. Back when you were playing, Scott, you were just throwing the ball all over the place, and back when
it was fun.
Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it?
It's boring now. These guys,
I know.
It's like, I hate this stuff.
That's what I was gonna say. And BYU's like, hey, West Coast offense. They basically invented it, and we were just throwing it everywhere. And Jimmy Mack was breaking NCAA records, and these two teams are in the top of the country in rushing offense. What in the world happened, Scott?
Well, you get defensive-minded coaches who are very good, by the way, involved, and it's a blueprint that's kind of worked well. I'm still in favor of throwing the football, but it comes out of that mindset of shorten the game, play to your defense. You've got all these coaches that have coached together and against each other, and they're very much mirror images of each other. They understand that it works, and it really does. And I think Utah BYU, one of the great things that they both do is whomever they have playing for them, they maximize the talent of these players. They all play hard. They play to the best of their ability. They usually don't beat themselves, and that's a recipe for winning a lot of football games outside of talent. And so you start adding talent pieces to it. You get guys on the offense and defensive line that can hold their own or can be somewhat dominant. And you're gonna be around college football for a long time. And Kyle's proved this. Kalani has proved it. And there's others in the past, but I think Utah BYU do it as good as anyone in the country.
Former Utah quarterback, current broadcaster Scott Mitchell and the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, Mountain America Credit Union, and by Eddie. So, Scott, we're gonna have some fun here tonight. We're going to do a fantasy football type draft for Saturday's game. So we're going to build the BYU Utah Dream Team position by position. We're going to give you two options of current players, one on each team, and then we're going to listen to you build the best roster possible. And to your credit, and we know you work for the U, but you always call it like you see it. So there are going to be some tough calls here. And the diehards on one side or the other might go, "What? I can't believe you didn't pick our guy." But I think it'll be fun because there's a lot of talent on the field come Saturday night. And each team's got maybe, one guy that's a little better in this position group than the other. But I think once we're done with this game, we'll go, okay, you know what? I got to watch this game and see what's going to happen. So, Blaine, are you ready to take him to the first matchup?
Yeah.
You guys have way too much time on your hands to come up with all this kind of stuff. There's a lot of pressure right here.
We're the wise guys. This is how we do it.
And don't worry.
I just want to answer C. It's just give me multiple choice. I want to answer
this
C.
is all A or B. You got to pick. Here's the good thing, though. You know Dave McCann. Dave does when he gives us a quiz like this, he provides data to help us with the decision. So I'll give you some little bit of data on each, and then you can go, I think this. So, and you're also going to have opinion that maybe goes way beyond the data. But
hey, I'm just going with my gut.
Okay, so here we go.
Let's do it.
Let's start with the quarterback matchup: Devon Dampier or Bear Bachmeier. Dampier, 71.5% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 3 picks. 378 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. He's the leading rusher for the Utes. Bear Bachmeier, 63.2% completion percentage, 8 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 265 rushing yards, and 7 touchdowns rushing.
Who are you going with?
I'm going with Dampier. Dampier's healthy. He's a special player. There's things he can do. I haven't seen a lot of players in college. And the other side of it is the experience side of it. I know Bear is very mature for his age, but he's still a freshman. This is the biggest game he's played in all year, his whole career, and I think the edge will go to Dampier.
Okay,
yep, that's fair.
Let's go.
You could ask different questions, like we could say, if they were both freshmen, you had to choose between their talent set, who would you take? Because I'm with you. I would take Dampier in this game, but I would take Bear 100% over Dampier to start a program as a freshman with. Dampier's way 100%. More experience, right?
Yeah. But Devon's unique. I mean, he's not your prototypical, he's a running back playing quarterback.
True.
But there may be a bigger ceiling for Bear Bachmeier.
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
All right, let's move to running back. Wayshawn Parker or LJ Martin. Parker has 52 carries for 355 and 3 touchdowns. Martin with 101 and 652 yards and 4 touchdowns. Coming off back-to-back 100-yard games, just ran for a career high 162 on the road at Arizona. Parker or Martin?
So this is fantasy, right?
Yeah, this is fantasy, and so Parker's averaging 6.4 a carry, and Martin's averaging 6.5.
I'll take LJ. Okay.
Yeah, just fantasy football is what we're playing here. So
we're building a dream team.
Yeah, fantasy team.
I got it. Look, I picked the BYU guy.
I know. It's fair. I agree. I agree with you on Dampier, and I agree with you on Martin. So, okay, receivers.
I would just take all the BYU guys.
I know this is a little easier.
Ryan Davis with the receivers. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's Ryan Davis has 39 for 416, 2 touchdowns. Chase Roberts has 22 for 420 and 3 touchdowns. Here's an interesting thing though. Davis has a 10.7 average, and Roberts is averaging 19.1 a catch and has 3 touchdowns versus Davis's 2. So Davis or Roberts?
I've always liked Chase Roberts at BYU. I thought he's done a great job there, and he's very experienced. The thing about Dampier, if he throws it, he's going to throw it to Davis. So in a fantasy situation, he's going to get a lot of catches. But oh man, that's a tough one. I'm going to go with Ryan Davis.
So
that was a late flip.
It's an interesting thing.
I'm analyzing this verbally. I'm kind of thinking
out loud. It's an interesting one too, because as you mentioned, so the next closest.
That's a hard one, by the way.
Yeah, the next closest wide receiver to Davis at Utah has 7 catches.
Yeah,
right?
there's no.
So if you were going to say, like what you said right off the bat, receiving core, you're like, oh yeah, I'll take BYU's. But if this is fantasy football,
right?
Dampier's throwing it to Davis. You got to take him, right?
That's my thought process.
Yep. So, okay, O line. Now we could go the whole O line and have this would be a great discussion but we're not going to do that. We're just going to give you Spencer Fano or Andrew Gentry, the 2 right tackles.
Spencer Fano.
That's too easy. He might be the number 1 tackle drafted.
I know look, this offensive line for Utah is as advertised. They're really good.
What's interesting?
This is the best line I've seen Utah have since I've been doing this.
What's interesting about this line, and we weren't going to run all 5 guys against 5 guys, but when it comes to running the football, the Utes are running for 248 behind that line. BYU's running for 238 behind their line. That's only 10 yards difference. Yeah. Both these offensive lines are pretty good.
It's really hard to look at statistics even at this point in the season, because your non-conference schedule and even some of the teams you've played, in conference, it's hard. If you're comparing like apples to apples across the board and you have that, then it's something. But it's very different, because you just don't know how good a team is until you actually show up and play them. And it's like right now, I don't know how good BYU is. I couldn't tell you. I do know they're 6-0, but their schedule's been very favorable, and I like that they've come back and they've had some tough games and that could have gone either way. And to actually win the games and do it in the fashion they have shows a lot of maturity, and your young quarterback getting that kind of experience is huge and will help down the road in the games that are actually harder, and it should be a good thing.
We're visiting with former Utah quarterback and Utah radio analyst Scott Mitchell on the Wise Guys. We're live on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and wiseguys.com, talking to Cougar Nation all over the world tonight. Let's shift to the defense, where both of these outfits are like ranked 2-3 or 1-2 up and down the Big 12.
Everything in the conference, yeah. So let's start, and again, we're not going to do the whole D line because that may be a different type of decision. But let's just go John Henry Daly against Logan Latui, the 2 starting ends. So Daly is one of the top sack men in the country, 8 sacks, 30 tackles. Latui, 26 tackles. What do you go with there?
Well, I just want to say thank you for John Henry Daly.
You're welcome.
I'll just tell you that. Now, the reciprocal of that is Keanu Tunavasa. And the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away, and that's a great part of that. But John Henry Daly, and we learned that it's John Henry, he's from the South. His mom, and so it's John Henry.
Yeah, it's David Nixon's nephew, so we know
you know all that stuff, right? And I wish every player on Utah's roster was John Henry Daly. I mean, just a motor. I would pick him over anyone in any place. I just absolutely have loved watching him play, watching him develop. And, he's a guy now that they're actually trying to account for, which that tells you how good a player is. So John Henry Daly for me.
Yeah, okay. That's an interesting one because I was thinking about it. Even though they both play defensive end, and even though Jay and Morgan have the same roots, what they asked those two guys to do is so crazy different. You know what I mean? It's hard to compare those two because John's he just gets to cut loose and pass rush, and Logan doesn't get to. Logan has maybe the highest motor on the defense line, but that was a tough one. We had to pick those guys, so we couldn't think. How do you compare D tackles? You probably would have given it to Tunavasa, but we thought that would be a fun one, and we did want to. I
actually would have, by the way, if you do defensive tackles, I would have picked.
We thought it would be fun to highlight John Henry Daly because he's been so special this year, so we chose those two.
Let's talk about the linebackers: Lander Barton, 29 tackles and a half a sack, or Jack Kelly, 21 tackles, 4 sacks, and a forced fumble.
Oh man, Lander has been in the program. His whole family's been in the program. His dad Paul and I played together at Utah. They're just wonderful people, and Lander's been pretty quiet. It's a quiet. I'm going to take Jack Kelly.
Okay,
I'll tell you, Scott, you'd appreciate this. I was at practice at BYU practice a couple weeks ago, and there was 6 NFL scouts there, and 3 plays in a row. This is before Jack got hurt. They ran a play where they had the quarterback scramble, and Jack Kelly triggered and chased the quarterback, and all 6 of them just looked at each other and said, "What in the world? What linebacker in the country has closing speed like that?" And Jack runs in the 4.5s at 248 pounds. So, yeah, I would take Jack too. And Lander's very good. I
was going to throw Glasgow there or Jack.
Yeah, those are
Glasgow's another one that's good.
Kelly's
really good.
Kelly's a freak. He literally is a freak. Guys that big aren't supposed to run that fast. So that's a fun one. But
here's a good one.
Yeah, this one. Let's go to secondary. So Snowden or Johnson. And I know Snowden was playing nickel, but now they've moved him to corner. Johnson's playing corner. Snowden with 17 tackles, and Johnson with 19 tackles and 2 picks.
And one a pick 6 at East Carolina.
Do I get credit for offensive production with Snowden?
Oh, see, now there's an interesting one because if you're going to...
No.
But you can't. He only gets his points as a defender, right?
Smith is he's kind of been an everything guy for Utah and just a great attitude, great athlete. Last week he was matched up on Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver for Arizona, probably be a top 10 pick, and he went toe-to-toe with him. I mean, he was... If you ask who won it, I would say Smith, simply because Tyson didn't make any big plays. I mean, he was kind of a non-factor. Now, he didn't have his quarterback like he normally does, but man, Smith was just all over. I would take Smith.
Yeah,
that's a hard one.
I think they're both NFL guys, actually, which is great. And when have we said that about BYU and Utah? It's crazy. There's a bunch of NFL guys on both of these defenses. So.
All right, let's move to special teams. We got Dylan Curtis or Will Farron. Mm-hmm. Curtis is 5 of 8, long of 54. Farron is 12 of 15, long of 56. Had a string of 25 straight and kicked that 44-yarder to end the game last year. Who you taking?
How Farron's been around a little bit. Dylan Curtis got a strong leg. He's a true freshman. He went through a little phase, that freshman phase, where he got a little in his head and missed a couple there. And is actually against Texas Tech, and it was costly. But since then, he's kind of righted the ship and pretty strong. But I'm taking the BYU guy.
Yeah, he's kicked at a lot of big kicks. I'm with you. It's kind of like where you're talking about Dampier. Really crazy talented and has experience. Bear Bachmeier, really crazy talented. He's a freshman. That's the same comparison on the kickers here. So I'm with you.
Okay, now it's going to get really tough.
This is going to get hard. This is going to get hard. And I don't know that I would voted for these questions on these ones because I thought it was hard. Defensive coordinator, Morgan Scalley or Jay Hill?
Oh boy, that is really good.
Yeah. Only the best for you.
I'll tell you what, Jay Hill has done a phenomenal job at BYU, and not only, it almost feels like, he was a head coach at Weber State and felt like maybe he could go somewhere and be a head coach, maybe a step up, maybe go to Utah State, somewhere like that. And it almost felt like he took a step backwards, but it wasn't. And I've just been so impressed with what he's done down there. And I know Jay and for a long time, and he's just an incredible coach. And Morgan, Morgan is the head coach in waiting at Utah. I'm going to go with Morgan just on more experience, just a little bit more experience, but not by much. That's a tough one, but Morgan's maybe just a little bit more seasoned.
All right, let's come back.
I said on that one, I don't know. I don't really impress me. I might have to make it a draw. And I love them both. But
let's move to offensive coordinator Jason Beck in his first year up there. Of course, he's got ties to here, and we know him and his family well. Or Aaron Roderick,
who's got ties to up there.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I've been real impressed with Jason in that he's been so pliable. I almost want to say a coach is coachable, and he really is. He's really kind of tailored things around what he has. I love coaches like that. He's gotten very creative in a lot of things he's done, and they play at a high tempo. They play with a lot of pace. They play with a lot of confidence, and I like that. I like that style. But I think A-Rod has really developed into an excellent coach, and really understands the culture. And it was a bold and courageous thing that Kalani did when he let Ty Detmer go. I've had tremendous respect for Kalani to do that. I think that would have been brutally hard, and it looked like it was the right decision for where they are. And I'm going to say A-Rod right now, only because he has a bigger body of work, and I think Jason, with some time, was going to be phenomenal. Like I said, I just couldn't be more impressed with Jason and what he's done, and just how he is and who he is. And but that I'm going to go with A-Rod just okay. For the sake.
Yeah,
of
no, I like experience. That. It is fun because I feel like Jason's done an amazing job as a first year coordinator getting the team to buy in, and then I think this may be A-Rod's best half a season so far, just because of losing his starting quarterback, having to kind of start over, having a quarterback controversy and race, and then tailoring this offense for this brand new quarterback. This might be A-Rod's best coaching job so far. So I'm with you. That's a tough one.
He's really grown as a coach. Yeah, I think A-Rod. I've just watched him, spent time with him when he was at Utah, and just seeing how he's developed. He's really done a phenomenal job.
All right, this is the grand finale of our game here, and this is not a legacy vote.
Oh, man. Right? I didn't know there was a qualification.
This is not a legacy vote. Go ahead.
Yeah. Kyle Whittingham or Kalani Sitake?
So I'll just tell you, I could play for both of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really going to look, Kyle Whittingham has done more for the University of Utah. He's done more with less. He's just transitioned from, a one conference to the other, and went to 4 conference championship games in a row. Still very passionate about, I'm certainly going to pick Kyle right now, but Kalani is younger, and I think what they possess is a desire to stay somewhere. They're not in the climbing place. They're in the building place. They're in the relationship place. They're in the family place. Kalani, I don't think, could be in a better situation, a better coaching situation than he's in. And he's done a phenomenal job. But Kyle just clearly has a bigger body of work. But Kalani's not far behind.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I wanted to call that one a draw too, just because it's almost like comparing the two defensive ends. I'm like, man, they're just at such different points and they do things so differently. I don't know how I can compare those two.
Are you relieved our game's over? You can take a
this
breath
is fun.
now?
I actually really quite enjoy this. I love the discussion. It's great. It's fun to think about it. And I try to be objective, as much as I possibly, not on the Utah broadcast. I'm a homer.
Right. Well, you're paid to be
that's
one.
fun
We get that.
to be that.
When we're on BYU TV, we all, there's the certain language you speak. We get it.
I understand.
There's a question from the stream, and I think it was somewhere in Florida. It just went up above, and it was about Dampier, and it was the question of, Has Dampier been in a game of this magnitude? We're talking about Bear and his inexperience, and every day is a new day for Bear. But this isn't New Mexico State, right? This is BYU and Utah.
No.
How prepared is his psyche for a moment like this?
That to me has always been the question. Because at New Mexico he hasn't been. Neither had Jason Beck as a coordinator. Now the game against Texas Tech, Big Noon was in Salt Lake, and all the personalities show up at practice, and everyone's talking about how great, this offense is, and Dampier is this dynamic player, and they played horrible in that game. And, we come to find out that Devon Dampier is injured. And because I'm like, where's the guy I saw at UCLA? Like, move, and it's like, and it was just very strange. And Texas Tech was challenging Devon to throw the football, and he just wasn't right. And I think a lot of the play calling, I think the same thing with Jason. Getting in situations really big for the first time, and I believe it'll be a factor on Saturday, the first rivalry game. Jason understands it. Tech game really changed everything.
We had you, and then you froze, and now you're unfrozen.
All right. Anyways,
now we got you. Yeah.
So
I got a hamster at my house that
runs the wheel that keeps the Wi-Fi going. A hamster running on a wheel.
I ran out of lettuce, so I got to go to the grocery store and get some lettuce.
Former Utah star Scott Mitchell on with us on the Wise Guys, presented by Brady Plus, Eddie, and Mountain America Credit Union. A few more questions, and then he's going to roll out his top 5 players he's ever thrown a pass to. There's
another one from the stream that is an interesting question, and it says, ask Scott, does the winner of this game this week have the inside track, and is that winner going to play Texas Tech in the Big 12 championship game?
Well, it certainly gives you a leg up. I mean, if you look at BYU's schedule going out, there's a lot of tough games, including Texas Tech. This conference has been known to have crazy things happen, and 2 losses may still get you in the conference championship game. But if you want to control your destiny, you got to win this game. BYU's got some tough games coming up. They do play Texas Tech at Texas Tech. Utah's got Cincinnati at home. I think BYU also has Cincinnati. Utah's got to go to Baylor. Utah's got to go to Kansas. So it's a leg up, but it's nothing is over until the fat lady sings in this conference.
Yeah, it is interesting because we're watching Kansas State last week, and I'm like, there's the Kansas State team.
Or Colorado.
That's really good, right? In Colorado, watching Colorado on film, getting ready for the BYU game, I'm watching that film and I go, whoa. This is the most talented, undisciplined team I've ever seen. Like, if these guys ever figured this thing out, they could be really, really scary. And then last week, they were really disciplined and looked good. I'm like, oh, man, it's a good thing you didn't play them late in the season. And Kansas State looked awful 2 weeks ago. And this last week, they looked like conference champions. It's hard to follow this, to know who's going to be good from week to week, except for a couple of teams. Like Utah's been consistent, Texas Tech's been super consistent, BYU's been consistent, even Iowa State's fallen flat this last. Yeah. So you're right, Scott. It's hard to know what happens 6 games from now, right?
Yeah, Utah, when they were in the Pac-12, lost their first 2 conference games. Thought, well, it's over, and they went to their first Pac-12 game, and then the year I believe they won it the first time, Oregon State had to beat Oregon, and Oregon State was horrible. Oregon was phenomenal, and Oregon State won the game. And so anything's possible, anything can happen.
Scott, do you wonder and worry a little bit that BYU's defense could be much more like Texas Tech in that matchup on Saturday night, which is take away the run, which they're very good at, and they've been good at for 2 years now, and force Dampier to throw it and find his passing lanes. And BYU's got some big, Tanavasa and some big guys rushing the passer.
Well, it's certainly something. Yeah, I mean, this BYU defense is very good, and they play hard and they play aggressive, and they know the defense. These coaches know each other. It's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a brutal game. One of the things that is it's a proven statistic though is quarterbacks they're the X factor, and quarterbacks that can both run and throw are huge X factors. And believe it or not, Devon Dampier, when he actually escapes the pocket, he looks to throw the football, and he's actually better throwing the football when he's out of the pocket. So, but having that quarterback and it's on both sides of the ball here, that can make up for a lot of really good defense. Mm-hmm. You can get past the defense with a really good quarterback.
Timothy's on the stream from Perth, Australia, checking in, getting ready for BYU and Utah on Saturday. We had Kyle Whittingham and some sound from him earlier in the program before we brought you on. We got a couple of Whittingham questions that we got.
Yeah, we asked you this last year, so I'm going to ask you it again. Do you think this is Kyle's last BYU Utah game? Is this the last year for him?
I really do. I do, and he's never said anything. I talk to Kyle a lot and have for years, and he's never said, "Yeah, this is the end." He goes, "Look, I'm not going to be like my dad. I'm not going to be like Lavelle. I'm not going to coach forever." And I believe him, but he said something, and he said, "I couldn't go out this way." With the way the season ended last year, and that just told me that he was going out. And so we're past last year's win total, or I think we tied it.
Yeah, tied it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You're going to go to a bowl game.
They're going to a bowl game. They're ranked. They've been ranked. They're ranked again.
Yeah. So yeah, I really do, and I'm excited to see what Morgan does, and it'll change things. But Kyle's been wonderful.
We didn't ask you this question last year, so we're asking you this year. How do you think Kyle wants BYU fans to remember him? This is where he went to school. This is where he got his first coaching job, got married. This is where it all started. His dad worked here. His mom still lives here in Provo. And the rivalry, you punch and counter punch and all that stuff. But once the dust all settles, how does he want his alma mater to remember him?
I think if I was to describe Kyle, knowing him, I don't know it like we're not best friends or anything, but he's kind of a guy where ere there thou art, act well thy part. And I think that's what he would want people to remember, that when he was at BYU, he gave his heart and soul, he gave every part of himself. And I think he wants people at Utah to feel the same way. And I think that's what he's been in his life. He plants himself in the moment. He makes the most of the moment that he has, and he moves on to the next thing. And I really believe when he retires, that's going to be what he's focused on. And, he's got kids and grandkids, and he's big on his family and wants to just go enjoy them. So I think it's that when he was at BYU, he was all BYU, and when he was at Utah, he's been all Utah. And when he goes out, he's going to be all Kyle Whittingham.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Well said on that one.
So, what do you like most about this rivalry, Scott? There's a lot to like. There's a lot to not like. What do you like the most?
All right, I'm going to be a little bit selfish here, Blaine. I just liked that when I was a part of this rivalry, that we at least won a game.
There you go.
And
you dominated.
For the rest of my life, I can always say, as a starting quarterback at the University of Utah, I never lost to BYU. Now, when I didn't start and played, we lost. But when I started, we did not lose.
And I don't remember the exact yard, Scott, but it felt like you threw for a bazillion that year against BYU.
I actually broke a Jim McMahon record in that game. But yeah, it was a bunch of yards and a bunch of touchdowns, and it was just a fun. We hit lightning in a bottle that day, and everything went our way, and it was a fun day.
It was Utah's finest hour in all of my youth.
I remember thinking in that game, Scott's got to be having a ball right now. Like, this is what you dream about. Like when when you're throwing it and the ball's just coming out of your hand perfect and everybody's making plays and you're just, it was one of those days. And I remember thinking that Scott's got to be having a ball right now.
So there wasn't a lot of scouting that went on, a lot of film work like it is today. But we knew that BYU, and because they were so good, they just kind of lined up and just said, out athlete us out, and you just couldn't. Most teams weren't as talented. They were in cover 3 on first down. They were in cover 2 on second down. They were in quarters coverage on third down. And we just said, what is our biggest home run play against each one of these coverages? Because normally you don't know. And we knew, and they were extremely predictable. And sure enough, if they lined up and we threw a curl with a guy in the flat going up the sideline and hit that for a touchdown, and they did quarters and we threw a post over the top. I mean, so we were dialed into what they were doing. And so when you kind of go into the game with the answers, which normally wasn't the case, but against them it was, and it was kind of, it was just, it was fun. And it was kind of one of the, it's kind of easy today, and it's normally not like that, but it was that day.
Well, we had the game the next year, as Ty reminds us on occasion, and I think you had a stub toe or something you weren't playing, and
sprained knee.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was 49-0 at halftime, and it seemed like, and Ty was the starter, and it was like, okay, we're fixing whatever happened last year. We're fixing it now, and I think the final was 70-something to whatever. But Ty said he didn't play in the second half, and he blames you for that because since you weren't in the game, it wasn't competitive. He said you cost him about 150 yards.
Well, Ty's such a good guy. I just really enjoy him a lot. And, of course, he owes me a Heisman Trophy. But aside from that, it was painful to watch. And, I love Lavelle because people talk about Lavelle being this kind of, stoic guy. But, man, he was a fierce competitor. And he had no problem scoring 70 points on you. And he had no problem at all. And I'm sure he called the dogs off, but he didn't call the plays off. And so, and I appreciate that. I'm okay with that. And I wasn't offended but
you were heading off to the NFL.
He used to say, Scott, that I've agreed with ever since he used to say it. He would say, why did people think we should stop throwing the ball when I put my back? And I appreciated that when I was backing up Jim and Steve and Rob. Why would we stop throwing it? We're going to put our 2s and 3s in, and we're going to do what we do. He says, nobody ever asked Oklahoma, hey, since you guys are terrible at throwing the ball, when you put your seconds in, instead of running, you guys should throw it. He's like, I want to put my guys in and have them execute the offense that we run so that if they get in a game, when it's a meaningful time, they've executed it. And people get mad because we throw a couple touchdown passes late in the game, but I kind of agree with that mentality. Is that crazy?
No, it's not, because there's no better teacher than game reps. And if you want to develop depth in your team, you want to develop your talent. When they get in those situations, we ran into that against Arizona State that game was over, and Arizona State was just, they continued to play, and I'm like, hey, good for them, because this quarterback's probably going to be playing for the next few weeks. You might as well get him as game ready as possible. And the same thing with Utah, this freshman quarterback, they put him in there throwing the ball with the freshman at Utah. So I'm a firm believer that's just smart coaching, if you want my opinion.
5 questions for Scott Mitchell, presented by Strategy Square. Let Chantel help your business grow through social media. Find out how at strategysquare.co. Tonight, the top 5 players Scott has ever thrown a pass to, whether it's Springville High, Utah, or the Detroit Lions, Miami Dolphins, and a couple other stops through there. And you played with some of the greatest players that ever played the game. So we thought it'd be fun for you to tell us the 5 best players you've ever tossed the ball to.
Oh, man, this is a great question, by the way. I love this question. And so in high school, I had a wide receiver. He was unbelievable, Chad Tanner. We're in the state semifinals. And I throw a pass to him, and it probably should have got intercepted. And somehow he wrestled away from a Jordan beat digger and sent us into the state championship. But Chad he was a great player. He was our shortstop in baseball, which we won a state championship in. He was our point guard. He was he played cornerback and wide receiver, because, you did that back in those days.
Yeah.
Just a tremendous human being and so fun. I just loved growing up in Springville and had some just wonderful friends. that I still have today, and we were really good in sports. So it was really, really fun to be a part of that. So I don't know how to rank all of these because the moments that they were are so meaningful to me.
All right, you don't have to rank them, but we got Chad in the group of 5.
And here's the thing: we said
Martin,
top 5 players. We didn't say the top 5 most talented players. We didn't say the top 5 most. We said your top 5 favorite players. I think that Chad is a great choice.
Yeah, I couldn't rank them in the order of which one was better. There some of them maybe I could. I mean Herman Moore. I don't know. Herman Moore was amazing.
All right, so Tony Martin.
Tony Martin and Tony Martin for 2 reasons. Tony Martin, the very first play I played in the NFL, it was 3rd and like 10, and Marino gets a concussion and walks off the field. I've never played in an NFL game. We're in Seattle, and Shula goes, "You're in the game," and I don't get a chance to warm up. It's late. It's 4th quarter. I've just been standing around watching, and so I go in a game, and they blitz me. They bring everybody, and we had a side adjustment. I throw a slant route to Tony Martin. And he runs he's going to score. And that was the very first play I had in the NFL was to Tony Martin. Now, the next time I played, Marino got hurt again. It's in Cleveland. And I throw a post to Tony Martin, his first touchdown I ever threw in the NFL. And for whatever reason, I just had this connection to Tony Martin, who was a quarterback in college, and they converted to a wide receiver. And he kind of wasn't great at Miami, but he went to San Diego. He went to Atlanta, had a phenomenal career, an incredible athlete. But it's just because he was kind of my first,
Yeah.
And so Tony Martin, who was a great wide receiver, phenomenal. And of course, I never threw to Duper or Clayton in a game because they were gone by the time I got there. But Mark Ingram, who was great in Miami. Irvin Fryer was really good. Keith Jackson was amazing. Keith Byers was another really good. He was a running
out of the
back,
backfield, from Ohio State.
He was phenomenal.
Played against Keith.
And so when I was in Detroit, it's hard to describe this, but Herman Moore, and he's easily my top pick. I mean, we had this symbiotic relationship that went beyond like verbal words. It's like, I might raise my eyebrow looking at him at the line of scrimmage. He's like, "Yeah, I know exactly what you were doing." I'm telling you, it was this insane relationship and this communication we had. And we did a lot of innovative things at the time that are very standard today in the NFL, but they weren't at the time. And, fade stops and pump routes. And we just had a lot of really smart rules about, our offense. Tom Moore, who was our coordinator in Detroit, is still coaching in the NFL today, and of course he was with Peyton Manning. He was with Bruce Arians, both with the Cardinals. Carson Palmer, is that right?
Yeah.
And Ben Roethlisberger, and then he was with Tom Brady, and he started with Bradshaw with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So he's 87 years old. He's still coaching in the NFL, but we did some just crazy fun things. And of course, Herman was great. Brett Perriman was really good. And here's one that's going to surprise you guys.
All right.
Okay. Najee Mustafa.
What?
He wasn't on my list. I'll be honest. He was not on my list.
Your bingo card got a surprise tonight. So Najee Mustafa was a defensive back for the Cleveland Browns. And I threw a pass to him that he intercepted and returned 97 yards for a touchdown. And for years, it would have been a Cleveland Browns record. It was the first play I played after Dan Marino got hurt. I'd been in the hospital the night before the game. I didn't warm up at all. I hadn't thrown a pass, and I go in the game just as cold as you could be, throw this interception, and I turned around the second half and throw a couple more touchdowns to our team. The first one to Tony Martin, as I said, and was named the AFC Offensive Player of the Week in the first game that I really played in the NFL. But it all started with that interception to Najee Mustafa. So he's always had a place in my heart. And I'm disappointed because recently the record was broken. Someone threw an interception that was actually longer than 97 yards. So I'm no longer the record holder, but that was a proud moment for me.
Is that still your longest career touchdown pass?
No, Brett Perriman, I threw one. It might be. I threw one. I think it was 91 yards to Brett Perriman against Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the last regular season game. It's not like I remember any of this stuff or anything. But
Jake Retzlaff threw was that 101 yards?
It was 101
against Oklahoma 2 years.
Not everyone gets to do that.
101 yard interception.
Hey, look, if you're throwing 90-yard touchdown, anywhere over 90 yards is amazing. There was one more moment. Ronnie Lott, is really fun. Now, I'm older. It's just fun. The players that I played with and I played against, and it's really, that's what you really appreciate. And Ronnie Lott was just my idol, and so I got to play against him when he was playing with the Jets, and we did a double move against him, and I scored a touchdown over Ronnie Lott, and that was just, oh my goodness, that was just one of the greatest moments of my life. That's awesome. And I went up to Ronnie after the game, and I just said, hey, and I just said, it's been an honor actually to play against you today, and I still keep in contact with Ronnie Lott. Believe it or not, it's kind of weird, but I do, and so
that's cool.
Hey, I'll be honest. I thought on your list was going to be dumping off a screen pass to Barry Sanders and then just letting him do all the work.
Yeah.
Okay, so Barry Sanders, let me just tell you about that real quick. I said, Barry, man, the hardest thing that you have to deal with is getting past the line of scrimmage. Like, if you're past the line of scrimmage, I don't think people can tackle you. I really don't. And I do. There is a play where I throw a pass to Barry, one of the few, and he just kind of shakes and bakes and runs a 70-yard touchdown pass. And so I tell this to Barry, I say, hey, why don't we get you out of the backfield a little bit? And he goes, no, he says, I'm a running back. That's what I do. I run the ball.
Oh, man.
I don't catch it. I'm like, okay.
All right. Barry's rules.
Yep.
Scott, let's finish with this. Down and Dirty with Scott Mitchell. Tell us about that show, what it's about, and where folks can listen in.
Well, I'm on ESPN 700, 92.1 FM. I'm also on 103.9, 98.3, The Fan. And believe it or not, The Fan is kind of the BYU station for ESPN. Mm-hmm. You got Ben Criddle. I go on right before. I go in between Ben Criddle and Colin Cowherd on the radio on 103.9. Sure. And then on ESPN, I go in between Dan Patrick. So Dan Patrick goes to 10, I go to 11, and then the Sean O'Connell show comes on at 11. So I cover all the bases. And for me, it's like, I've had a unique experience in my life as a professional athlete, and I love to share my insight and my take on sports from that perspective. I also I can't stand when people don't just give it to me down and dirty, just give it to me the way it needs to be. And so I really try to find opportunities in sports, stories that I can really get the nitty gritty on. And so I just try to give an honest and candid opinion about the world of sports.
It's great. That's awesome.
Good stuff.
We look forward to having you in our lair this weekend as you make the long drive up from St. George to Lavelle Edwards Stadium with Bill Riley on the call, AM 700 AM and 92.1 FM for the Ute broadcast on Saturday. You got a score for us?
No. I'll give you okay, and I'm giving it to you down and dirty. I believe Utah's going to win the game. I really do. I think Utah's been very under the radar this year. I think they're really good. I think it'll be relatively close. I'll go 31-17. Maybe it's not that close.
Yeah, we had to pick for our show we're doing tomorrow, Scott, and Dave and I both have both teams in the 20s. I don't know. Maybe,
yeah. It just seems like with the two defenses, and Dampier's got his challenges with his size, and he's fast, but so is Fafita, and so is Salter that BYU's defense just dealt with, and then Bears young and experienced going up against Utah. So we were like, well, where are the points going to come from?
Vegas has the over/under of 48, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and you've got it right at 48, right? 31-17.
There you go.
That's what you get going.
Yep. There you
Scott,
go.
thanks for joining us, and you're welcome always on our show. And we're happy to know you're doing well, and then you got your new show, and that's hopping. And we will see you in Provo this weekend.
Look forward to it. You guys are the best. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Scott.
Scott Mitchell beat BYU when he was Utah's quarterback. They went in the NFL and threw for a bazillion yards and threw to some of the biggest names of the game.
I love his
Some
list.
that were on his team and some that were on the other team.
Yeah.
But But what we love about Scott, and he knows this, is he gives it straight.
Yep.
And
that's why his show's called Down and Dirty.
Down and Dirty.
He just tells it like it is.
And we like to tell it how it is too, and especially on this show because we have a little more freedom to kind of go, well, here's what I think, and let me explain why. And that's one of the benefits of having your own show.
Yep.
It's not just, hey, you got 2 seconds to give an answer. It's let me give the answer and let me explain why, and then folks can kind of understand what makes you tick. Let's go over some game notes. 31-17 is the latest pick on the board for BYU. And we encourage you to send your game scores on the live stream, and we'll try to pass them on to everybody. There's Howard in Japan.
I don't know if Bernie just said 31-17 because I'm going to do the opposite of what Scott Mitchell just said with BYU.
Howard's in Japan on the show. Earlier we were in the Maldives and Perth, Australia. So we're putting our arms around the globe here tonight. Let's talk about some game notes for this big one on Saturday night, 97th meeting. And Utah's got the commanding edge, 59-33-4. Obviously, those numbers much closer here in Provo.
Yeah, and the last meeting, everybody remembers, is last year, BYU 22-21. Up in Salt Lake City, Will Farron steps up and knocks a 44-yard field goal straight through the pipes to get that victory up there.
That was awesome. He's on the Kalani's show tomorrow night on ESPN Plus and the BYU TV app. Big game Bill won that one with his foot, and it was just a dagger. We had talked to Keanu Tanavasa, and his interview will be on the pregame show on game day. And just heartbreaking. You know, he was on Utah's. That field goal went right over his outstretched hand.
Yeah.
As a member of Utah's defensive line, and he had to watch it sail through the goalposts and create a huge moment in BYU lore. 26-17 was the last time these two teams were together in 2021. That was a big night for BYU. Tyler Algier, the Nakua brothers. That place was huge because it was the day after BYU was invited to the Big 12. So that's why that weekend stands out. Really is one of the biggest weekends of all time as they turn around, get invited to the Big 12. The next day they beat the Utes for the first time in a long, long time, and have won 2 in a row in the series, looking for 3 in a row in the series for the first time since Ty Detmer was here. So it's been a while.
Yeah, it has been a while. Utah's record coming in, as we all know, is 5-1, 2-1 in conference play. They had that lone loss to Texas Tech. They got Big 12 wins against Arizona State and West Virginia. Because it's interesting, like Scott mentioned, I don't know who BYU is because their schedule's not been that tough, and I say the same thing about Utah.
Yeah, I don't agree with Scott's pick at all.
It's the same thing though. Arizona State played without Sam Levitt in a pouring rainstorm. Right?
Yeah, in Salt Lake.
And Sam Levitt is to Arizona State what Devon Dampier is to Utah. He's everything. He runs and they don't have Scatterbo, right? So and then West Virginia. They've struggled some. They've and BYU's played that same West Virginia. Didn't blow them out, but it's interesting. I don't know who either of these teams are really yet. I know they're both good on defense.
Yeah,
that's the one thing I know.
It's going to be awesome. Howard's got BYU 35-24. Red American Dudes going the Cougars 31-27. I think BYU wins by a touchdown in a tight game. They're so close in all the stats, but being in Provo matters.
Yeah.
And that defense matters.
At night.
And Will Farron is money.
Yeah. BYU at night.
Yeah.
Money kicker versus because it could come down to some kicks. And the point spread, as far as Vegas is concerned, is BYU by 3.5.
That surprised me. Or Utah by 3.5.
Utah by 3.5.
That surprised me.
But the ESPN win indicator has BYU as a 51% favorite to win. So ESPN's got BYU winning this, and that's a bunch of analytics they put into a computer. And then Vegas, they have odd setters that set it, and they got Utah by 3.5.
The weather's going to be perfect. The high of 58, the low of 39, but we won't deal with the 30s because the game starts at 6 o'clock. But no rain in the forecast, at least today. And then the uniforms: a royal helmet, royal jersey, royal pants, white trim, and the Utes will all be in their crimson. And it'll be quite the battle. We live for these games. The thing about these big games is there's a risk you could lose one, right?
That's right.
So it's not Idaho State at the stadium where you're like, hey, it's a big game, we're going to win by 60. This one is every possession matters. Every blitz matters.
Turnovers are huge.
Jack Kelly on the field matters.
Yeah.
And it's going to be exciting come Saturday.
Kyle Whittingham alluded to this in his press conference. It's like, yeah, statistically, these teams are really close on both sides of the ball. And he kind of went through some of those things. He didn't do a lot to acknowledge BYU and talk about individuals, but he did acknowledge that the stats are very, very similar. And let's start with scoring offense. Utah's number 2. And these are Big 12 stats.
Okay.
Utah's not number 2 in the country. They're number 2 in the Big 12, averaging 39.5 points a game. BYU's number 3 at 37.5. Rushing offense, Utah's number 1, 248.2 yards a game. BYU's number 2, 238. That's what Scott Mitchell and I were talking about. What happened to these two teams that used to throw it everywhere? They're the number 1 and 2 rushing teams in the conference.
And they have the number 1 runner in the conference with L.J. Martin, averaging 108 yards a game. I don't know if we ever would say or thought we would say that BYU has the leading running back in the Big 12 at any point of a season, let alone halfway through.
Yeah, it's wild. And
I credit to LJ for that.
That's right. Talk about passing offense. And this is like another what happened to these two teams. Utah's number 12 in the conference, 211.5 yards a game, and BYU's number 13 at 210.2. But you got teams in this conference like Baylor and Texas Tech that are just hucking it every play.
Yeah. Any given Saturday, they can inflate their numbers. Mark with us from Lexington, Kentucky. Not that Mark, the other Mark Weiner with us. Good to have you on the live stream. And hey, send us your score for Saturday. Defensively, Utah's number 2 in scoring defense, 13.8. BYU's number 3 at 14.7. That number that BYU was ahead of the Utes before Arizona State came in without their quarterback and didn't do anything. Right. And so it's just close enough. It's what's 1 point.
Right. And then rushing defense. This is interesting because Utah prides itself on, they're typically a top 5 rush defense in the country. Not the case this year. And think about how good these teams are at running the football. BYU's number 2 in the conference in rush defense, 104.2 yards a game. Utah's number 8, 139.8 yards per game.
That's where I see the difference on Saturday. Yeah. That if Dampier can't run and he's forced to throw, that plays into BYU's strength.
That's better for BYU.
And BYU just happens to be really good at stopping the run.
Right. Total defense, where you combine it all, BYU sits at number 2 in the conference, 263.5. Utah's at number 4, 293.5. So very close in all these statistics.
Howard's asking, hey, do we know if Jack Kelly will be back? That answer, as far as we know, on this Monday is yes. And he could have played in the game the other day, but they held him out at the last minute just because it just didn't feel right.
That's right.
All right, now let's roll in Blaine's 3 keys for BYU to beat Utah. On Saturday, we heard from Scott Mitchell, and now we're going to hear from Blaine.
I'm going to start with what you just alluded to, and that is you got to make Dampier throw to win. You can't let him run to beat you. So you got to shut down this quarterback run. Make Dampier be a thrower to beat you. And so I look at against Texas Tech. He had 11 carries. He had 27 yards against Texas Tech. That's a 2.5 yard average. He's been much more effective than that against other teams. To give you an idea, against Arizona State, he only had 10 rushes, but he had 120 yards, 12-yard average, and 3 touchdowns running the football.
They weren't tackling for nothing.
Arizona State, he only threw the ball. It was 7 of 12. Of course, he didn't play a lot. And at the end of that game, 104 yards, 8.7 yard per throw average, no touchdowns, no interceptions. So they ran Arizona State into the ground. Against Texas Tech, because he couldn't run it, he threw the ball 38 times. He was 25 of 38 for 162 yards. That's only a 4.3 yard per throw average. If Utah's going to win the game, they're going to have to average over 8 yards a throw to beat BYU. And if you throw it 38 times and average 8 yards a throw, that's a bunch of yards. But that's more like what Scott Mitchell did. But 0 touchdowns and 2 interceptions in that 25 of 38 against Texas Tech. And Scott mentioned he had something wrong that was affecting his ability to throw. But that's the formula. You can't let him do what Arizona State did, and that's have 10 rushes and average 12 yards a carry and get 3 touchdowns and 120 yards.
And I believe that they will take the Texas Tech approach.
Yes, that's what you've got to do. Yeah. So that's my first one.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2, limit big plays. So no home runs for Utah. You make Devon Dampier in this offense move the ball down the field. You don't give him big chunk plays. You don't give him a 50-yard touchdown pass over the top on play action. You don't let Dampier run 60 yards for a touchdown. You make them drive the football and go 10, 11, 12 plays. If they're going to score, you make them earn it. And I feel like when you do that with teams, especially when they're on the road, there's a tendency to make some type of mistake, have a holding penalty, turn the ball over, whatever. That's what you have to do. So limit big plays, no home runs.
Okay, and number 3?
Win the turnover margin battle. It's so important in this game, has been such a predictor in this game in past years. If you give a short field to the other team, whether it's Utah or BYU, that's going to be a problem for you. So, I think that might be the most important. I said them 1, 2, 3, but that might be the most important one.
Shut down the quarterback run, limit big plays, and win the turnover margin.
Yep, that's the formula.
Ben believes your formula, and he's going 35-25.
Wow, he must believe it. There you go.
25. You don't have to see 25 in a predicted score.
No.
But hey, in this rivalry, we've seen some crazy things. Let's talk about what we learned last week in the Big 12. And again, as Scott mentioned, and we've been talking about, the winner of this game Saturday here in Provo is going to be in the driver's seat of getting to the conference championship game.
Right.
Even though BYU has to go to Lubbock, they don't have to win in Lubbock.
No, not
the top 2 teams go to the championship.
That's right. And Texas Tech looks really good right now.
Yeah. All right, so last week in the Big 12, what did we learn when Colorado upset Iowa State 24-17?
What we talked about a few weeks ago when BYU played Colorado is true, and that is Colorado's really talented. And if they can ever start putting it together, because they have so many new kids and understand what they're supposed to do, they're going to be tough down the stretch. And they took it to Iowa State. And Iowa State has had a struggle this year. They're not as good as we all thought they were.
All right, Kansas State took it to TCU 41-28, and that surprised us. And we learned that Kansas State is not completely off the rails over there.
Right. And it was kind of like, that's the Kansas. Like, I watched the highlights. I'm like, that's the Kansas State team with Avery Johnson and the aggressive defense that I expected to play all season long and compete for a championship. So now the question is, are they back? Because TCU was looking really, really good, and they just took it to TCU.
Yeah, TCU, when Arizona State beat them, because TCU basically handed them the game.
Right.
I wonder if that had a lingering effect on what they've got going on. By the way, we mentioned Utah beat Arizona State 42-10.
We talked quite a bit about that.
Without Sam Leavitt, they're not going to beat Texas Tech this week.
Yeah, because Sam Leavitt's he's their leading rusher. He's like Dampier for Utah.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's a problem for them.
And then Texas Tech pulled away from Kansas. Don't know what Kansas is. I think Kansas is just kind of there.
We're just all going to admit Texas Tech is really good.
Yeah.
Really good. So
Big 12 standings, BYU, Texas Tech, Cincinnati all tied in first place at 3-0, and then Baylor, Arizona State, Houston, and Utah are next at 2-1 here in the early portion of the gauntlet.
Yep. So this week in the Big 12, Baylor's at TCU, right? And so I expect I don't know. TCU just doesn't seem like they got the same spark they had early. And Baylor, I like Sawyer Robertson, and I feel like Baylor's got a chance to win that one. That's 10 a.m. on ESPN2. Arizona's at Houston. This is a big game. It needs to be a bounce back for Arizona. I think Arizona's capable. Houston is one of the surprise teams in the league. That's 10 o'clock on Fox Sports 1.
West Virginia is at UCF, 11 a.m. Mountain Time on TNT. Texas Tech is now 7th. In the country in the AP poll. They're at Arizona State, 2 o'clock on Fox. I'm sure when that was put on Fox, Fox was thinking that Leavitt might be back. And I don't know. His foot was in a boot at the Utah game the other night. We'll watch that one. It's Monday, and that game's on Saturday. Utah and BYU at 6 o'clock Saturday night on Fox. And then Cincinnati breaks into the AP Top 25. They're at Oklahoma State on ESPN2 at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Those are Mountain Time. BYU's going to go to Cincinnati later in the year, and Cincinnati could be another one of the dark horse sleepers that have really caught the league by surprise. Some other big games are on Saturday. Ole Miss now number 5 in the country, and they're at number 9 Georgia. And when you're sitting at number 15 for BYU, every game in front of you now has a reason to pay attention. Number 10 LSU is at number 17 Vanderbilt. A loss for LSU could open the door for BYU. Number 11, Tennessee, is at number 6, Alabama. A loss for the Vols also could open the door for the Cougars, provided they win. So when you're in the top 15, Blaine, every game in front of you now is a game to watch.
Isn't it amazing how when you're ranked, then you're watching that ticker go by all day long on Saturdays to go, oh, now I need to know what this team's going to do. Who's got a big matchup in front of me this week? You start watching all of these games that you otherwise would not have watched, which that's what makes it so fun to be ranked in top 15. So that's really fun.
Some news that's happened since we were last together. The college football transfer portal settled on January 2nd to January 16th, and then that's it. So there's no exodus after spring football. Bear Bachmeier would not be at BYU if this rule was in place already. Because remember, he left after spring practice when Stanford had fired their coach. And we don't know what if there's a coach's fire, there might be some wiggle room there, but it's certainly tightening things up. They don't want everyone just leaving all summer.
I think you could apply for a waiver if the coach got fired. So after spring ball, but I like it. I like the fact that it's just not a free for all. Different transfer portals open.
You now know who you have for your own spring practice.
Yeah, it's a better model. Now, the teams that are really like Ohio State screaming, this isn't good, because Ohio State expects to be in the national championship game. Right. So they might have players transferring out while they're still in season if they're that good.
Yeah, or they could hang on to them because look. What? You might never get to a championship game.
You could say some pluses and minuses on both sides.
But it's interesting they picked those dates and not any March.
Why not right after the national championship game for the next week and a half after that? I don't know.
That would make sense.
So second to the 16th. I do like that it's one time a year, though.
I do, too. Here's a scheduling announcement. BYU is going to host Idaho State on September 1st, 2029. Remember when 2029 felt like it was a long ways away?
It doesn't seem that far away.
Yeah, it's not. So the 29 non-conference slate is this: Idaho State, Colorado State in Provo, Boston College on the road. So you get the FCS, you get your G5, and you get your P4, and it's Boston College.
And that's the formula now, right? Yeah. One of each of those. And your P4, like unless it's a big preseason game that you get invited to, you don't want to go play Ohio State or Miami.
You want to get a bunch of money,
Texas, or
and an opportunity.
Yeah, you don't schedule that kind of stuff anymore unless contractually, because of your league's television contracts, Fox says we're going to do this, or ESPN says we're going to do this, and we want BYU in this game, and we want them to play this team. Yeah. That's the only time you do it.
Kind of like how Vegas said, we want BYU in Vegas, so how about Oregon State?
Right.
It's like, okay.
Yep, you do it then. That's when you do it. So.
AB and SC has 42-17 BYU on Saturday.
There you go.
Let's do the Re-Lyte Athlete of the Week, presented by Redmond. The secret is in the salt. Learn what it can do for you at redmond.com. This week, we are pleased to honor Siale Esera as our Re-Lyte Athlete of the Week, and he was fantastic. You know, there weren't giant plays for Siale, but there were so many plays. When we say fantastic, he went 4 quarters in a game where BYU needed 2 extra periods to win, but they won, and he had quite a night.
Yeah, he really was great. And, man, I love the way he runs. All 3 of these linebackers for BYU run. And we always talk about Jack Kelly and Isaiah Glasker, but Siale Esera is a 6'3", 245-pound middle backer, also runs like the wind. Redshirt sophomore from Timpview High School here in Provo. He led the Cougars this week with 16 total tackles.
16
in that overtime win. So 6 of those tackles were solo tackles, which that's a lot for a middle backer because he's usually in there with a bunch of other people.
And he was a little bit out of position, was he not, because of Jack Kelly? He had to cover a little more.
He could do a little bit more. They asked him to do a little bit more, and they called some things to where he had to be in the spotlight. He also had a tackle for a loss, a quarterback hurry, a pass breakup. It was quite an outing for Siale Esera.
In his 16 games as a Cougar, Siale has 55 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a sack, and an interception. 4-star recruit coming out of high school, accounting major. We were at a function with Mountain America Credit Union up in Salt Lake a few weeks ago, and Siale was the guest speaker, and we had a chance to visit with him. But then we watched him talk to a room of people that he didn't know. He was fantastic.
Yeah, he is a bright, very humble, hardworking young man, and he's the accounting program at BYU, Dave. That's no joke. Like it's the top accounting program, if not the top. It's one of the top accounting programs in the country. I know that their MAC program, their Master's in Accounting program, is like #1 every year, and that's the program he's in. And he's playing football, BYU's got a bunch of smart guys, but Siale's right there at the top.
Siale Esera is our Re-Lyte Athlete of the Week, presented by Redmond. The secret is in the salt. Learn what it can do for you at redmond.com. Speaking of good things, our football, by the way, which we're auctioning off, autographed by the current football team that is now 6-0 and ranked 15th in the country, all to help raise money to send kids in Uganda to school. That ball gets more valuable every week.
Each win.
It started with no wins, and that ball right there, and the Bear Bachmeier signatures on there. Now there's 6-0, and there's a hat signed by Siale Esera. That's also up for auction. He just had 16 tackles. He's just our Re-Lyte Athlete of the Week. I mean, timing is
perfect.
Is good. To place a bid, go to our website, wiseguys.com, click on the Contact Us tab, and then use the form there to send in your bid. And we'll put the link in the chat and also in the show notes. And then we're just going to see how much money we can squeeze out of this football and this hat. Last year we had a ball signed by the team, and it went for $5,500, and that sent 23 kids to school for a full year.
It's and every dollar that you donate goes to send those kids to school, which is great about this charity that's near and dear to our hearts here at Wise Guys.
Let's do our Cougar Board question of the week. If you're not familiar with Cougar Board, it's the largest online community of BYU fans, thousands of posts every day. This one's from True Blue in Arizona. True Blue, we hope you were at the game with an umbrella there in Tucson. He's one of their insider subscribers. It's got a question for you, Blaine, that I still haven't been able to figure out, so I'm looking forward to your answer. Please walk through the Glasgow roughing the passer call and explain with the rationale. Fafita clearly had the ball. Was the call because of high contact, even though the targeting was overturned? So he's back to pass. Glasgow comes in, hits him. Looks like he fumbles, and BYU recovers. We never even got to that part.
Never even reviewed the fumble.
Next thing you know, they're calling it targeting and roughing the passer. They look at the video and they go, no, that's not targeting. But they stuck with the roughing the passer, had us all wondering, how can you rough the passer if he still got the ball in his hands and you didn't target him?
Yeah. First of all, I cannot explain it because it's a terrible call. But here's the rationale. A quarterback, you can rough him while he has the ball if you hit him in the neck or shoulders purposefully. Like, so here's the hard part. Noah's like 5'8". So Noah Fafita is like 5'8", maybe, right? I think he's listed at 5'10". He's not 5. Isaiah Glasgow is 6'5". Isaiah Glasgow is just coming in and making, like he didn't launch himself into the shoulders or head. In fact, on the replay, they called the targeting. He didn't even hit him with his head.
No.
He put his head to the side and he tackled him with the front side of his chest. There's no way for you not to tackle Noah Fafita high. There is no high on him. Like there's no low on him. Everything's down here, and Isaiah's 6'5". It was a bad call. Now, here's the issue with the call. If they had just called the targeting, so if they suspected that he went head-to-head, now you can go review that, and you could go with the call. And you could say, either he did contact him head-to-head, it is targeting by rule, he's out of the game, and it's a 15-yard penalty. But if he didn't, you can waive it. Roughing the passer is not a reviewable call. So you can't go to that and go, all you can do if you're the official is go, wow, blew that one.
Yeah.
Why did they even call
15 yards and a first down, and BYU's trying to get the ball back.
And Kalani was hot about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was a clean play. I don't think he did make unnecessary contact to the head and shoulders of Isaiah. I think he moved his head to the side. He got there while Noah still had the football in his hands. The sad part about it is they went down, and BYU eventually stopped him on that, right?
Glasgow got the interception.
Yeah, but it was deep.
Yeah,
right?
5 yards.
And so it felt like BYU then played with the end zone right behind them for the next several series, and they were kind of mired deep in their own territory. If they go and review that, I'm not so sure that wasn't a fumble because it looked like the ball started to come out before the forward motion. Right. If the ball goes forward, that doesn't mean it wasn't a fumble. Sometimes, you feel the ball start coming out and you push it with your hand and it goes forward. If that ball's coming out when you get hit and then you still push it forward, it's a fumble. if he doesn't have control of it. So
Timothy's got a question from Perth, and anytime there's a question from down under, it should be on this show. He says another controversial call somehow held up after review. Chase clearly had his hands under the ball on the touchdown pass. The review clearly showed it. A head scratcher for Timothy. I didn't know if they had the best cameras that night. I couldn't quite tell. Chase certainly jumped up and thought immediately, and sometimes the receiver and his reaction is the best indicator of, hey, this was super, super close. I didn't have a problem with it.
The ball moved, right? So the question is, it bounced. The question is, did it bounce off his hand or did it bounce off the ground? So here's the issue. The official from behind the play called it an incomplete. So now you have to have overwhelming evidence beyond a shadow of a doubt that it did not bounce off the ground, that it bounced off his hand.
Yeah.
I don't think there was a good enough angle to determine that. Had the official, the two officials that were in the front of that play that had vision to it, they all kind of came in to talk. They didn't rule it an incomplete. They came.
Yeah, neither wanted to.
And the one behind very confidently came up and patted on the ground and said that hit the ground. Once he made that call, I don't think that there was enough evidence to overrule it one way or the other. So if he had called it a complete, it would have stayed a complete. They called it an incomplete, it stayed an incomplete. So I don't think the review failed. I think the original call was very subjective, and I'm not sure that was the right call or not. I don't know why he was so demonstrative that it bounced on the ground.
Good question.
Yeah, that's a great question. You have to have overwhelming evidence to overturn a call on the field.
Our campus notes are presented by BYU Pathway Worldwide. BYU Pathway makes truly affordable, fully online, spiritually based college degrees accessible to people worldwide through greatly reduced tuition, weekly peer gatherings, and English support, helping students earn sooner, increase their income, and deepen their faith. And you can learn more about what BYU Pathway Worldwide can do for you at byupathway.edu. There was a big poll that came out earlier today, the AP preseason top 25 basketball poll, and it made history the moment it hit the wire.
That's right, because it's the highest BYU's ever been ranked in the preseason poll. AP, number 8.
Number 8.
Top 10. I think it's low.
Houston's number 2. Texas Tech is number 10. Arizona's number 13. So they did put BYU ahead of Texas Tech, and they've got a big roster coming in, But yeah, sitting at number 8.
Isn't it amazing the difference between the respect for this league in basketball versus football?
Oh, yeah.
Like, they respect the league in football, but they respect it as their teams are all kind of 10 through 25. Bunch of them.
Right.
But they don't have top 10 quality.
We don't want them in the top 10 because then we have to include them.
Right. So, but in basketball, 3 or 4 teams in the top 10 is not unusual for the Big 12. It's known as the best and deepest basketball conference in the country, and with plenty of teams capable of winning national championships. And hey, Houston just played the national championship game last year. And
I have no problem with them being 2. John Rothstein has BYU 8. ESPN has them 7. Ken Palm has them at 18. They had the blue-white scrimmage last week at the Marriott Center. Rob Wright did not play in that. He is expected to play on Saturday. It was fun to see the crowd and the fever in the arena, and it's going to be just wild. The whole season's going to be wild.
Fun. The place is going to be sold out every night.
But Saturday is our first chance to watch them get after somebody.
Yeah, it's an exhibition game. It's at Nebraska. People have been asking, is it televised? It's at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, and it is televised. It's on the Big Plus network. So
that's different from ESPN Plus. This is the Big Ten's thing.
And I don't know if the Big Ten allows you to buy a single game or if you have to buy their package. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So, but if you want it, you can get it. Yeah. North Carolina is at BYU. They're 25th, the Tar Heels. That's Friday, October 24th at 7 o'clock Mountain. That's on ESPN Plus. We're on the call on that one. Yeah. And that was on the regular ESPN Plus that everyone already gets.
Yeah. And wait, that's up at the Delta Center. Yeah. So you and I have that up in the Delta Center.
That'll be fun to see these two, but I'm real curious to see what BYU has on Saturday.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
And these games don't count. We're going to talk with Steve Cleveland's going to join us next week, and we'll ask him a little bit about, these games don't count, but you know what? Impressions do.
Yes, they do.
And if BYU looks good against Nebraska and they pound North Carolina, let's just say they do, and it doesn't count in the standings, but you don't think people remember they played? At least when the early polls come out. So it's like, I know they don't count wins and losses, but it feels like they have a lasting impact.
Aren't you glad that they don't do the double secret scrimmages like the old days?
Yeah.
But was it?
We're over that. Now they're on TV.
A couple years ago, it's like, well, we scrimmaged Stanford over there.
Yeah, secret bus came in.
We won 88-66. Why is it double secret? Like, I don't
sell tickets, make some money.
Yeah.
So now they do.
I do like this. I like this a lot better.
Women's basketball, Delaney Gibb named preseason All Big 12. She won Freshman of the Year honors last year. The Cougars picked to finish 10th by the coaches in the 16-team conference poll. We'll get Delaney on the show as their season starts to fire up.
Yeah, soccer is 7-4-1 currently. 2-3-1 in conference. They beat Oklahoma State 4-1 and lost at Baylor 4-2.
Baylor's like number 4 or 5.
Yeah.
They're good.
Big 12 standings. Baylor's in first place at 5-1. BYU tied with Arizona State in 8th place. This week, Arizona's at BYU. That's Thursday night, 7 p.m. Mountain on ESPN+. And then Colorado's at BYU next Monday, 6 p.m. Mountain on ESPN+.
That's big and important because they need to sweep these two and get into the positive, get some mojo back and get 4 and 3 in the conference. Women's volleyball, they're 15-2. They're 3-2 in the Big 12. National ranking out today at 19, so they're up 2 spots. Beat Houston 3-1 last week. In the Big 12, Arizona State is in first place. They're in the top 5. They're 5-0. BYU's tied for 5th. That's how it's early and it's a juggernaut, right? You lose, you're 3-2, 15-2 overall, and you're tied for 5th place.
That's right.
In the Big 12. This week, Arizona State's at BYU in a mega match Thursday at 6 on ESPN+, and then BYU goes to Lubbock Saturday at noon on ESPN+. To take on Texas Tech.
Here we go. Cross country. New polls will be out tomorrow, so we're going to give you the rankings from last week. But the women are still number 1, and they'll still be number 1. we don't doubt that, right? No. Defending national champs. The men are number 6. They won the Steve Reeder Memorial Invitational in Logan, and sophomore Hunter Kitchen was the overall winner. I mean, they could move up.
Sure,
they can move up.
Yeah.
Women can't move up.
When
there's no up for
when you're at the top, you're just all the way up. This week, the men are at the Nutty Comb Invitational in Madison, Wisconsin on Friday, and the women are at the Missouri Pre-Nationals also Saturday. That's in Columbia, Missouri. Before we get to Connor Mance, I was just reading on the stream. Let's see. I purchased Big Ten Plus for the monthly rate of $12.99 and will cancel after the BYU
so you can watch it for
Nebraska game. The Coug dude, thank you.
Way to go,
so
Coug
for $12.99, get your friends together and say, hey, for $4, let's get some pizza and watch the game, and then.
But 801 West Valley makes a good point. Don't know if I want to watch the BYU basketball game or go to the Big Noon show.
Well, remember, Big Noon show's over at 10, right? It's 8 to 10.
It starts at. Is it 8 to 10 or 10?
Yeah, no, because their first game starts at 10, noon Eastern. So they start at 8 a.m. Mountain.
It's a Big Noon kickoff.
So they're off the air by 10 our time.
Yeah, that's right.
That's why that Utah-Texas Tech game started at 10 a.m. in Salt Lake City, because they had it right after their show.
Kelly Lundberg asks, is the B-ball game played on any campus big screen TV? I'm not aware of that at all.
But if it is, BYU basketball is pretty good about getting the word out, and then we'll retweet it and stuff. Yeah. So we'll keep you posted. Hey, Connor Mance over the weekend became the former Cougar finished Sunday's Chicago Marathon in 4th place, but he ran the fastest marathon time ever run by an American, 2:05:48.
Come on, that is nuts.
And this is still a young guy who's conquering the world.
2:05. That's 26.2 miles.
Yeah.
That's verifiably nuts. It's amazing.
Congratulations to Connor representing everybody and winning. And you're 4th place and you set the national record. That's how fast some of the other marathon runners are, but that's how fast he is too.
In golf, BYU's men's team is currently ranked number 12. They're at the Bryson Invitational in Charleston, South Carolina today and tomorrow. And the BYU women are at the Dale McNamara Invitational in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma today and tomorrow.
Trying to get some golf in before winter.
That's right.
I think they've got this week and maybe one more tournament, then they shut it down till the spring. Baseball is playing this weekend. Blue-white game, Friday night, 6 o'clock at Miller Park, and they're going to have fireworks after the game.
Come see the fireworks.
So Friday night, so you have fireworks Friday night after the game, and then you got Big Noon Monday, Saturday morning, and then you got game day out in Cougar Canyon later that day, and then the Cougars and Utes.
What a day. There you go. Hey, how about this news from up on campus? A new building. BYU is getting a new administration building. The current one, which opened in 1961, will be demolished at the end of the year, and the new one will open in the fall of 2028.
I saw some pictures of it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
It's going to be a pain to build it right there.
I get confused in the old one because it's just like a big X, and when I come in, I just get confused. I don't know which way to go.
Which hallway? Yeah, 1961. It's time for that one to. And you know what? President Reese will get a new office. He deserves a new office.
Where do they go between now and 28?
Some are at the old elementary school at Wasatch High.
Okay.
And some, I think, are over at the Provo High,
wow,
where the medical building's going to go eventually. And so they're spreading them out. But by the end of the year, that thing's going to get knocked down. Mm-hmm. And one thing we noticed on campus, because they built that new art building and they've got the other thing that's replacing the Harris Fine Arts Center. Once they start, it's like building a temple. They just start and they just keep going until it's done. Yeah. There's no like pause and we got to go raise some more money. It's just once they knock that thing down, it's on.
Yep. Wow.
So
that's big news. And those are our campus notes presented by BYU Pathway Worldwide.
All right. On this day, as we head down the home stretch, and thank you so much for being with us. It's like the pregame show for BYU Utah with AFR tomorrow and then all our stuff on Saturday. On this day, on October 13th, let's start old school in 1792. The Old Farmer's Almanac is published for the first time.
I remember my grandparents and my mom and dad, they used to get the Farmer's Almanac when I was growing up, 1792.
I remember the scene in Hoosiers when Gene Hackman shows up and his girlfriend's over there slopping in the garden mud, and he's like, it's like lousy weather, and it's late in the year, and he's like, what's going on? And she said, the almanac's never wrong.
Yeah.
And so they were planting their stuff.
So let's also go all the way back to 1792 for a second.
Two things on that day.
On this day. The cornerstone was laid for the White House in 1792.
How about that?
Yeah.
1903 on this day, the first World Series. Boston wins Game 8 against Pittsburgh to take the series 5-3.
Wow.
It wasn't best of 7. It wasn't best of 5. Boston wins Game 8, and they take the series.
Wow. 2019. So we're going to go from 1903 to 2019. Simone Biles becomes the most decorated gymnast in history with her 25th medal at the World Championships.
How about that?
Yep.
October 13th, birthdays, 1925. Margaret Thatcher, British Prime Minister, also spoke at the Marriott Center in her career.
1942, Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner.
Has he been good for the Cowboys?
I don't know.
I mean, he's turned them into $1 billion operation.
Like, he's been good for the business part of it.
Yeah.
He's made... I think he's partially responsible for making NFL teams worth what they're worth. I just don't know if he's been good for them winning.
Seems like he should have kept Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
They should have just worked that out a little bit longer.
Old teammates.
On this day in 1947, Sammy Hagar.
Best of both worlds.
Born.
Best of both worlds.
And he had the best of both worlds. Sammy Hagar and the Red Rocker, and then he was Van Halen.
Yeah.
Now he's got Cabo Wabo. We've been to his place.
We went to his place, and I think his best song is, what's the one? How does it feel if it's love?
When it's love. Yeah, that was
when
good.
it's love.
I Can't Drive 55.
Yeah, he had some good ones. So let's talk about another musician that's a dear friend of ours and has been on the show. Can we tell what year? I'm not going to tell Marie's age.
We won't tell the age, but we should say the year without saying the age. And people can do the math.
Okay, then you can be responsible if Marie's mad at us. So Marie Osmond was born October 13th on this day.
1959.
1915. Gosh. Marie, just so you know, Dave wanted to let everybody know how old you are. I was not gonna rat you out.
Listen, Marie is so famous that when you Google October 13th birthdays,
I know.
her name appears.
I know. But still, Marie, just so you know, this was not me that did this tonight.
Yeah, okay. Well, she made me get up on stage and sing with her, so maybe that's payback.
That's true.
Now we're even.
And you did great.
We need to get her back.
Wait, what was that song you did with her at the show?
I have no idea. I think it's been lost in time.
Okay. 1962, Jerry Rice was born on this day.
How about that?
Great receiver.
Jerry Rice. October 13 deaths. 1945, Milton S. Hershey died on this day. Hershey's Chocolate.
Hershey's Chocolate Factory, just down the road from where I grew up, down in Hershey, Pennsylvania. So, 1970.
Did you ever go do the tour?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Did
absolutely.
they give out free chocolate?
Yes, they did.
Nice.
Yes, they did.
That's good.
There's an amusement park there, too. So, yeah, when I was growing up.
There's an amusement park?
There was when I was
chocolate,
growing up.
like Willy Wonka type thing?
Chocolate, yeah.
Was there a chocolate river?
I don't think there was a chocolate river.
Okay.
So, but remember, oh, your river's polluted. No, it's chocolate.
Do you remember? Do you remember the first time you saw that chocolate river and you thought, would you just stick your head in and just drink it?
I would just take my hand and just scoop it up.
Didn't some kid fall in the chocolate river?
Yeah, he said
or something.
He said, you're going to pollute your, no. They said his mom came over and said, no, you got to save him because he literally said, hey, that pipe. She goes, I know you'll chop into bits, and he said, no, that pipe doesn't go to the whatever room; it goes to the fudge room.
Classic.
You'll chop him up, I know it. I think it was Augustus Gloot that got sucked up into the river. I think he got a little hungry. Okay. Ed Sullivan, 1974, passed away on this day, October 13th, 1974. Ed Sullivan, the great Ed Sullivan from The Ed Sullivan Show.
To make things up and make them right with Marie, our Wise Guys inspirational quote of the week is from Marie Osmond, who said,
if you're going to be able to look back on something and laugh about it, you might as well laugh about it now. So you think she's going to laugh about the fact that you just told her age?
She's already laughed about it. It's already passed. She's moved on.
We love you, Marie.
You can see our Wise Guys interview with Marie at wiseguys.com. Our special thanks to Scott Mitchell. He'll be on the call on the Utah broadcast this weekend on the radio with Bill Riley. And we love Scott. He grew up here in Utah County and went to play at Utah, which actually opened the door for Ty Detmer to come here. Mm-hmm. It worked out for Ty and BYU, and it worked out for Scott up there.
Yeah, man. And they both threw for a lot of yards. So
next week, Steve Cleveland will be with us. We'll break down the Nebraska scrimmage and look ahead to North Carolina, and then Sully Davis will be with us.
Can't wait. Star. She is a star. Yeah. She'll be here. It's great. Where can you find us? So both of us will be on AFR tomorrow. That's at 5 p.m. Mountain on the BYU TV app and on ESPN Plus. So, and if you can't watch it at 5, that's okay.
Watch it anytime.
Watch it anytime you want because that app is available and it'll be in the archives from that point forward.
BYU Sports Nation Game Day hits the air at 4 Mountain on Saturday on BYU TV and ESPN Plus. 2 hours of pregame coverage. Max Hall, Kyle Van Noy will be with us. We're going to have a really good time, and all our cameras will give you access to inside the stadium, where if you don't have a ticket, you can't get in, and you still can't get in if they haven't opened the gates, but our cameras are always in.
We'll take you in. And then come back after the game on ESPN. ESPN
Plus and BYU TV app.
Yeah, come back to what's the game's on?
On Fox.
It's on Fox. That's right. Yeah. So come back after the game on Fox and join us on BYU TV app and ESPN Plus with the post game show. And
I'll have a couple articles in the Deseret News this week that hopefully you'll enjoy.
I think it's the first week in a long time one of us hasn't been on Sports Nation.
Yeah.
So that's okay. We needed a break.
That's all right. We're still down there, right? Tomorrow doing
we'll
our stuff. Wise Guys is presented by Brady Plus, supplies plus support. Find out more at bradyplus.com.
And by Eddie. And Eddie HR and payroll software built for small businesses. See how Eddie can serve your team at eddy.com.
And by Mountain America Credit Union, empowering dreams for over 80 years. Find out what they can do for you at macu.com, MACU.com.
And our Re-Lyte Athlete of the Week is presented by Redmond. The secret is in the salt. Learn what it can do for you at redmond.com. And Siale Esera was our Re-Lyte Athlete of the Week this week.
801 West Valley, shout out to Grandpa Joe. Grandpa Joe, thank you for watching the Wise Guys. Wise Guys is distributed by the Deseret News. We'll see you tomorrow on AFR, Saturday on Game Day, and back here next Monday for Wise Guys. And it's going to be
a fun week.
It's going to be an awesome week.
It will be a lot more fun if BYU pulls this thing off. And man, will they be in a great position if they do.
They'd be 7-0 and flying high.
Nobody expected that.
Let's do it. Why not? Why not?
Let's do it.
Have a great week, everybody. See you next time.